Hey, what is going on, everyone? This is Mohammed, your personal PMP coach from Certified with Ease, coming back to you guys with another brand new video. If you are scoring low on your mock exams, study hall, or whatever mock exam you're using, I want you to implement this 3-step methodology. I promise you, if you implement it correctly, your grades will jump from a 50 or 40% to a minimum 70%. All right, try it out, 3 steps and 3 steps only, and let me know how you actually do. Okay, so remember, we have a small training in the description. You can click on the link, access it after watching this video. I'll show you exactly what you need to focus on and how to approach the PMP exam in order to pass on your first attempt. Okay, click in the description, or it's going to be pinned in the comment section, and let us jump into our questions right now. 3, 2, 1, let's start. One of the questions that we have in our PMP study group, our PMP student community group, and I made this question up, made it a little bit more confusing, put a couple of problems in one situation just to confuse you. So remember our 3 steps, and you always want to approach situation-based questions on the PMP exam in a very standardized way. And the reason why you want to do that is because you want to have a method of getting to the right answer every single time. And if you're familiar with my videos, you know we have 3 steps and 3 steps only to solve 95% of the exam. Okay, let's read this question together and we will solve it and follow the 3 steps as we progress. So, a sponsor from a pharmaceutical company has launched a project to develop a vaccine for the COVID-20 pandemic. That's made up, okay? So don't freak out. The project team is facing a risk of missing the deadline due to resource shortages. This has led to conflicts between the project team and quality assurance team regarding the final product outcome. Okay, the first step you want to focus on always is understand what the problem statement is from that situation. Okay, so from the situation, what is the actual problem statement? Is it that the project team is facing a risk of missing the deadline due to resource shortages? Or is it the consequence of that? The consequence being, this has led to conflicts between the project team and quality assurance team regarding the final product outcome. What's the problem statement? You got one, but then you got the ultimate problem statement, which is at the end. The problem statement from the situation is there is a conflict, or there are issues when it comes to the final product. So there's a difference in terms of what the quality assurance team agrees on and what the project team agrees on when it comes to the product outcome. Okay, now that we understand our problem statement, step number 1 is checked. Step number 2 is going to be using the PMP mindset principles. If you're new to this channel and you're not familiar with the mindset principles, the video is going to be linked over here. After this video, watch the 23 mindset principles. Okay, so the 23 mindset principles basically summarize the exam and how you should act according to the PMI. They're extremely powerful because they allow you to eliminate answers immediately. Okay, so let's talk about our 4 solutions. Discuss with the project team the possibility of fast tracking the project to meet the project deadline. Now remember, we talked about resource shortages, but the main problem is not resource shortages. The main problem is the last sentence. There's an issue between the final product and what was initially agreed upon. We have discussed, we have the project team, which, they comply with our principles. That's who you want to discuss your issues with. That is why it's important to understand what the problem statement is. A does not solve the problem statement, so we're not going to choose A. B, discuss with the project team the possibility of crashing the project to meet the project deadline. Okay, so crashing and fast tracking, they're technical terms. They're scheduling compression techniques. But again, B does not solve our core problem. We want to always choose an answer that solves our problem. Okay, so C, analyze the acceptance criteria with both teams. Okay, I like this. We're taking a step back. Principle number 1. Acceptance criteria, we're analyzing that, and we are involving both teams, not just the project team. No, it's the project team and the quality assurance team. We're involving both parties who are involved in this conflict. D, discuss the possibility of hiring more resources to speed up the project completion with the sponsor. Okay? So, you guys let me know in the comment section, what is D similar to? Is it fast tracking or is it crashing? All right? What is it similar to? Okay, but again, D does not solve the core problem. All right? So this is step number 2. Step number 2 is applying the 23 mindset principles to eliminate as many answers as possible that contradict our principles or that do not solve the core problem. So step number 2 is 2 parts. You look at the answers, you ask yourself, okay, you know what? This doesn't solve this problem, or this doesn't solve this question. Or you ask yourself, does this contradict one of our 23 mindset principles? All right? C is going to be the best answer here. And I'm going to give you guys a quick trick. Anytime, and you're going to get this about maybe 4 times on your exam. Anytime there is an argument regarding the final product outcome. So one team is saying, you know what? The final product doesn't meet what we've discussed, and the other team might be saying it does. When there's a disagreement on the final product increment or outcome, you want to look at number 1, either the acceptance criteria, which we have in this question, or the definition of done. Immediately. Acceptance criteria or definition of done. All right, you're gonna get this on your exam for sure. So remember that it's a small trick. So remember, guys, there are 3 steps. You might have missed the last one. The last one is simply choosing the answer that completely solves the core problem. Okay, so really quickly, we have 3 steps. What is the problem? What is the issue from the situation? What can we eliminate? Meaning, which answers do not solve our core problem or which answers contradict our 23 mindset principles. And the 3rd step is choosing the answer that completely solves the problem. In this case, we didn't have that because we were able to eliminate A, B, and D. But a lot of the times, actually most of the time, you might get a question where you're only able to eliminate half of the responses. Okay, let us move on to another question, and we're going to be using our course over here. So let's look at number 4. Number 4 is a good question because it's confusing. They mention a lot of different things, but in reality, I'm going to show you how easy it is. So you have companies A and B, they're co-developing a cutting-edge technology product. Based on customer feedback, the marketing department urgently requests a new feature in 2 weeks. Company's A front end is ready, but company B, which requires 4 weeks to deliver the complete back end, is busy with the current release. What should the project manager do to obtain agreement from both companies and acceptance from marketing? Okay, so what is the problem statement here? We're mentioning company A, company B, 2 weeks, 4 weeks. A lot of information is happening. So you might have to read this question again just to understand it. And don't worry, most of your exam is not like this. This is a confusing question made confusing on purpose. Okay, so here we have a situation where we need this new feature in 2 weeks. But company B requires 4 weeks. So we need something in 2 weeks. Company A is ready, but company B requires 4 weeks. So we're kind of delayed by 2 more weeks. What can we do now? We need something in 2 weeks, but company B is only ready in 4 weeks. All right, we have a problem statement down. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is going to be looking at the answers, eliminating the answers that contradict our principles or that do not solve the core problem. So A, add the new feature to the list for the next release and continue working on the current release. So let me ask you this question. Does this solve the core problem? Does it genuinely solve the core problem? If the question is explicitly mentioning that we need this in 2 weeks, we urgently request, we need it, and we're saying, you know what, we're just going to dump it into our backlog and deal with it later, it doesn't solve the core problem. So A is gone because of that. B, create a special release 4 weeks after the current release to deliver the new feature in its entirety. Well, does that solve the core problem? It doesn't, because we're saying, you know, 4 weeks after. 4 weeks after means what? We're not going to meet the 2 weeks that we need to meet. So B is gone because it doesn't solve the core problem. C, stop the current release. So I already know that's not going to be an answer because we never stop things. We never delay things. So if you go scroll a little bit above our PMP Mindset Principle section. This is our course, by the way, guys. If you're interested in it, click on the description, watch our video first so you understand how the course works, and book an appointment with the team. See if it's for you. Okay, so our mindset principles, remember, never settle for delays or extra costs. However, extra costs precede delays, fine. If the question mentions wait, delay, postpone, extend, or something similar like stop, you don't want to choose that. Okay, so eliminate right away because it contradicts principle number 2. D, plan the delivery of a minimal viable feature in 2 weeks to enable early showcasing of business value. Beautiful answer. Okay, so we eliminated A, B, and C. Process of elimination. We have D remaining. So why is D a good question or a good answer? Well, we have a couple of principles being used here. Okay, we have the minimal viable product. I gotta find it, but that's one of our principles over here. One of the tools that the PMP likes to use a lot is the MVP. It can be called MVP or minimal viable feature. I'm going to write it right here. Control F just to see where it is. There we go. Number 5. Okay. That's a very important tool. And you got the value word. Another principle that we have is value. Okay. Always choose the most value-driven answer. Keyword to look out for in the answers is value. Awesome. So we got those two things being clearly evident in D. Okay, that's why D is going to be the answer. Awesome. So I want you to use a 3-step methodology when you're solving your mock exam questions to get your score from a 50% to a 70%. So know for your exam, if you want to be comfortable and you want to know that you're ready, 80% is the cutoff mark. 80% is a very good score. If you're at 80%, you're good for the exam. 70%, you're borderline, right? So you want to score a little bit higher. All right, let's do one more question just so you have it and you understand how to use these 3 steps. We're taking another question from our course. So number 12, during a project's execution phase, 2 members are having conflicts with other team members within the team on technical and interpersonal levels. Which 2 actions should the PM take first to address this conflict? So it's pretty straightforward situation. Right? You got 2 team members. They're having conflicts with one another. PM has to step in. Right? This is not a slight disagreement. These are conflicts about technical, but more importantly, interpersonal levels. Okay, so now that we understand the problem statement, we move on to the answers. Remember, we're looking at the answers to either eliminate them because they contradict our principles or to eliminate them because they don't solve the core problem. So ask HR to intervene before it escalates and affects the team's performance. So this is principle number 8, right? We don't want to get HR involved. We want to solve the problems because we're the PM. This is our team, our responsibility. A is gone. Plan to resolve the team's conflicts after the sprint and focus on achieving the goal. Now, here's a really interesting thing about this. I'm not going to eliminate this right away. But you are not solving the problem. If you say, you know what, we're going to resolve it later on, you're not actually technically solving the problem. Now, I know a lot of people, they might choose this because they might make the argument that, hey, Mohammed, I don't want to interrupt my team during the sprint. It's very important they accomplish what they have to, and I agree with you. But the issue here is that we're talking about technical and interpersonal conflicts, which can interfere with the progression of the sprint. Okay? But a rule of thumb that you always want to follow for the exam is anytime the answer takes a solution and it says, you know what, I'm going to do it later. I'm going to do it later. You want to eliminate that answer. You want to take a proactive step forward and solve the problem right now. Okay? C, arrange individual meetings with team members who cannot work together effectively. Beautiful answer. You know what I like about this answer? What I like about this answer is that it follows principle number 3. Never expose your team members' faults to others, but engage in individual meetings with the team members in question. When there are conflicts with your team members, a servant leadership trait is that you don't call them out in front of your other team members. Rather, you set up individual meetings with everyone, and then you handle it. Okay? So I like this. So this doesn't contradict any principle. It actually follows a principle. All right? So I'm going to just put a little check mark here, just so I don't lose track. Discuss the conflict early among the affected team members using a direct and collaborative approach. I like that. Take a step back, you're discussing, you're taking that proactive step, you're solving it. All right, let me just put a little check over here. Nothing wrong with this one. Address the conflict during team meetings for the entire team to participate. So we talked about this. This contradicts principle number 3. We're going to eliminate that. And from the process of elimination, we are left with 2 answers, and we are told to choose 2. Okay, so we got our C and we got our D. Awesome. Okay, so just to recap this quick video, 3 steps and 3 steps only. Number 1, figure out the problem statement is from the situation. That whole situation is not important. Figure out what the problem statement is. So number 2, ask yourself from these answers, which one contradicts my principles? Which one contradicts my principles? And which one of these answers do not solve the core problem? Eliminate those answers. And number 3, choose the answer that best solves the problem. Now, if you're able to eliminate 3 out of 4, you can skip step number 3. But if you're left with 2 answers, you want to apply step number 3, where you ask yourself, which one of these 2 remaining answers actually solves my core problem, okay? Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Remember, we have a small training in the description. Check it out. You'll have an opportunity to book an appointment. Check out our course, which is on the screen. It has amazing, amazing features. Everything that you need in order to get certified. No fluff. For example, these are the major topics you have in terms of theory. Very concise explanations. You have a study plan. You have common exam scenarios over here. You have PMP mindset. You have everything that you need, mock exams, whatever it may be, solutions. Book an appointment. See if this is for you. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.